stress. It's been way too long. YouTube, welcome back. I know I look like I'm in shambles. I look like I've been through some things. And I have. Mostly because of this stupid game. But let's ignore that. I'm going to put the whole explanation as to why I wasn't here for a while all the way at the end of the video to focus on the topic at hand, which is the playstyle that works for me at the moment. Took a lot of trial and error, but I finally fixed something, and I'm gonna stay consistent on it instead of swap over to something else. Just focus on gameplay after that. So, what are we gonna talk about first? Is gonna be the rune page. I've tested all types of keystones, runes, mini runes, different trees. This is what is most consistent for me, I believe, anyway. So, Conqueror, Triumph, Alacrity, Last Stand. This is something you're familiar with, and for good reason. AD coming from Conqueror, good damage, extended trades. Triumph, your resets, dealing with multiple champions, getting the HP back. Alacrity, you want that for your consistent DPS and making your champion a bit faster in terms of like keeping up with champions with damage and everything. And last but not least, Last Stand. Every kind of fight you come across involves you taking damage, and by the time you get 5 stacks you are gonna max out on Last Stand, so it makes the most amount of sense. Now you have a secondary option, or should I say secondary tree, which you have to choose between Resolve and Sorcery most of the time, pretty much because Sorcery is going to give you that movement speed you're looking for, extra anyway. Or Resolve, you can try to fix up some kind of placebo tankiness, if you will. And I chose Sorcery because I don't believe there's any real tankiness in the Resolve tree, unless you go conditioning, but I think that's bad. But I'm not doing Resolve tree in this playstyle. I believe in the Sorcery, I believe in the damage and mobility, then the tankiness I'll just buy. I'll buy the components if need be. Now let's go to the stat lines. We got the attack speed. Everyone's going to agree this is the best thing you can probably take anyway. Now this is where it gets controversial. You go movement speed shard instead of the scaling HP, and tenacity instead of the scaling HP. I know scaling HP is good, I agree, but I need to move as fast as possible and stay out of CC as much as possible, which is why I opt into these shards. So, with that being said, let's now go into the items. As you can see, there's quite literally only one. There's only one way to do these things, and I think I tried every other item. I really did. It's been 3-4 weeks. I've already tried everything there is to take, and it seems to me, in terms of what's going to be most consistent in my games, especially with what I have to face on usually, it would have to be Stridebreaker. And I get the Sterix Gauge, I get the Force of Nature, I get the Death Stance, and my Swifties. Now I can give you an explanation why I picked these items, and it's basically because Stridebreaker, I lane, or even should I say face, in terms of a whole team comp, they just like kiting, they just like running away, that's just what they pick, and it's a good reason they picked that, because that's what Darius is gonna suck most against, and that's when he just can't really stick to his targets. Stridebreaker helps with that. Now if I was facing things that weren't really trying to run from me, then I'd start looking for other items, maybe like Trinity Force, so that I could get more damage off, because I'm already going to stick to them anyway. But they like playing champions that run away, which is why Stridebreaker makes the most amount of sense to me. It's the most consistent choice anyway. Swifties, alongside that idea of just kiting, they like using slows, stuns, or whatever it is. Now, of course, it's not going to help with stuns, but that's what Sterix is for. That's what that stat shard is for. It's I get enough tenacity for that. As for the slow resists, That's where I get my Swifties. And we got Sterex. It's not just the tenacity, but it's also the shield. I get 3 HP items right here, and I have quite a little bit of a shield that I can use to buy myself a little bit of time so that I can get my ult off slightly later on. Another thing you need to notice is that with these champions that just run away constantly, I need to keep up with them, not just by sticking to them, but also being as fast as them, which is why I get Swifties for the slow resist, but also the heightened movement speed, as well as Force of Nature for that % movement speed boost as well. Combine that with the stat shard, the Nimbus celerity, you can somewhat be as fast as them and stay on top of them for the time that you are fighting them. The reason I take these two in combination is because I need both armor and magic resist, because they always draft AP and AD. So I take both every single time. Now, one major difference between these is that Death Dance is going to give you some damage delay on both of them, right? Whilst Force of Nature only really helps you with magic resist. However, you still need magic resist even with Death Dance doing that, which is why you have to opt into both of them. One of them gives movement speed, making it a reason for you to even buy it. So the order in which you want to buy this in, though, that's one thing I didn't put in there, is you actually want to sit on a Negatron cloak. After you do that, you finish Death Dance and then go back on the Negatron cloak and finish Force of Nature. Don't worry about the HP deficit, because around level 14, 15, 16, you will, if you're completing Death Dance anyway, you will still have 3k HP. Maybe slightly under, maybe slightly over, depending on level 14 or 16. But you will have 3k HP, so you're still in that fighter amount of the fighter's territory amount of HP. So you don't need to worry about that. This gives enough HP. Don't worry. And you might be wondering, okay, then I see the 4 items. I see your boots. I see the reason for all of these. The order and the items. I understand. Now the part that I don't understand is, where is the last item? And here's the thing, every time I do these builds, I'm trying to think of what would work in my games. And the truth is, my games don't really last until the last item. It ends right before then. So I find it a little bit ludicrous to even consider the last item when it's going to be bought in like what? Less than 10% of my games, so that's why I focused a whole lot more on the first 4. Even that is maybe a bit of a joke. I'd say the aim is 2.5, 3.5 items, and then you look towards ending the game. That's the whole idea. Now, you got the rune page, you got the items, and the playstyle. It's gonna be mostly on the team fighting kind of setting. So with that being said, everything is done. This is Forbidden Combatant, if I'm not mistaken, especially since we're trying to fight champions and be in team fights. This is going to be the strongest I think I can be in team fights. So there's the play style. Now, my absence, what happened? Why did it even happen in the first place? Well, I guess here's the part. I don't want to ramble, but the reason I haven't been out is because I've been heavily stressed on trying to figure out what would work, and it took me this long to figure it out. It took me way too long. I tried everything, but once the new split hit, the damage I didn't build based on the playstyle I was going to take in, that affected me a lot. I didn't do the damage I wanted to do. I thought I would. I was in the delusion that I would have been fine. Comes the new patch, everything was in shambles for me. I was like, oh, this doesn't work. Well, before I get onto YouTube or Twitch or something like that, I need to fix this up. So I ended up trying a different playstyle. That didn't work. I ended up trying another playstyle. That didn't work. I tried every kind of bruiser item you can think of, ADHB. I've tried them all. Well, probably not Cleaver, with good reason. But I've tried Titanic, I tried Trinity, I tried Sundered Sky, Hullbreaker, I tried split pushing. I did all of these things, but it's been 4 weeks. I've done so much experimentations, and this is this is pretty much the end result, and that's kind of why I haven't been here. I was busy doing these tests, and I didn't want to come back with suboptimal playstyle that just doesn't work. I want something that does work. It doesn't need to like completely take over the game or be overpowered. That's not important, because I know how solo queue is. I know how you can get team diff and stuff like that. But it just needs to be somewhat effective. And what I call effective is, if you're playing correctly, even in a losing team, you still do noticeable damage. You still do noticeable things around the game, to the point where it's like you at least tried. You done something. You may have lost, but you done something. And if you continue to do that, you're just gonna climb, because you are constantly effective. And the problem with my playstyles that I've been trying up until then is that it was not feeling like that. It was feeling like I was doing wet noodle damage, and I wasn't doing damage. I wasn't tanky. I wasn't moving fast. So I needed to fix all of that before coming on. Now that I fixed it, now I can come on and talk to you about these things. So yes, I was out for experimentation purposes, and I'm sorry about that, but it just needed to be done. Now what's gonna happen is, this is now the grinding phase, where now we just need to up the volume in terms of the amount of matches I play, so that I can actually do the climb and actually get back into master tier. So once again, I am sorry about the absence. It wasn't planned. It wasn't like I was doing other things. No, I was investing time into trying to fix my league issues, because when that new split dropped, I was at an itemization crisis, and it was annoying me, because I knew that the longer I go on like this, the longer I stay out of content, and that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to stay in content. But for the people that are still listening, I do thank you for listening to me rambling on. I don't believe I'm rambling on. It's just there's no quick way I can, well, at least in my head, I might be dumb. I'm not gonna lie to you, but I don't think there's a quick way for me to like express what I'm thinking, which is why I end up like talking in this long format. But I try to make it as short as possible. I do attempts, but following that, let's close off the video. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next few videos, and till the next time, have a nice rest of your day. Peace